Have you ever been outside and seen crepuscular rays look like this, or this, or this? So we're told that the sun is 93 million miles away. But if you triangulate these rays back to its source, do you really think it looks like it's 93 million miles away? Or what if the sun's actually not that far away and it's within the firmament?
Is gravity a real, measurable force, or is it something that's just been completely made up in order to glue together the globe theory? Of course, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and let me just make a disclaimer that I have no idea what I'm talking about. However, this guy tries to explain gravity by putting a heavy thing over some tarp and saying that if you roll a marble around it, that's mimicking gravity. Does that make any sense to you? That's the best explanation that he has, as well as Neil deGrasse Tyson, saying that gravity is the curvature of space and time. But when he was first asked, what is gravity? He goes, next question. You can't really measure it or understand it. It just is. So that's really odd that he can't explain what gravity is when he's apparently one of the smartest people on the planet. So, where in the micro do we see big rocks attracting small rocks and forcing them to orbit around them and creating spherical shapes? I've never seen this in the history of forever. But of course gravity is a real thing. That's why objects fall to the ground, right? It's not relative density and buoyancy compared to the things in the atmosphere around you. All I'm saying is something really doesn't make sense. But do me a favor and look into electrostatic levitation. And just look into how, if you repel the electromagnetic field of Earth, you can actually cause something to levitate above the ground. Entertainment purposes only.
This is air traffic control. You're cleared for takeoff.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Welcome to another edition of Amanda Has Questions. Comments, reply. Thanks for being here. So, verbiage matters. First and foremost, words matter. So, can we talk about the sun and the moon? Yes, I can. Look up solar disk, lunar disk. Actually, I'll just provide a photo now. Now moving on to the second part of the question about planets. With that being said, planets are round. But, again, words matter. What is the difference between round and spherical? I'll provide that next too. And lastly, I'm not voting for anybody. They are just opposite wings of the same bird. So I don't know where Trump comes in, but thanks. Have a great day.
Does the moon follow the sun or the sun follows the moon? Again, this is flat earth geocentric topic along with its incontrovertible data. In this visual, let's have this point of reference and even our latitudinal motion. We considered the east as a Mediterranean perspective. When you are standing on a shore of Eastern Mediterranean Sea, as we trace the trajectory of celestial bodies and observing how they ascend and descend, especially along with our celestial arc. Now, by conducting our observation, especially from single vantage point, by making comparison from solid ground and even the aquatic environment. So we can now witness a rhythm from sun and the moon across the vast expanse of the sky. With our Polaris, it's always steadfastly at the center of everything revolving around it. Our local sun's movement consists of two primary motions, which is the circular motion around the Earth and the analemma, or what we call the harmonic oscillation. A circular motion involves sun moving on a circular path, while the harmonic oscillation causes the sun to oscillate up and down, right on the dome with our analemma. The period of our sun is 365.25 days, and the moon's spiral motion is similar to our sun and always exhibit a spiral motion, changing center of the moon's motion, and the path that it goes forms an elliptical spiral orbit The sun makes 28.5 circles in 28.5 days. The moon makes 28.5 circles also in 28.5 days. So each day, the moon lags behind the sun, exactly by 12.8 degrees. So when you are observing the analemma, you have to wait for a little for the moon to arrive at the position. Because again, the moon lags behind our sun, exactly like the moon chasing the sun. So let's put it this way. One day is considered 24 hours, but the daily motion of the moon moves 360 degrees. Let's minus that by 12.8 degrees, which now equals to 347.2 degrees. So it's a full period of complete 360. It's gonna be 24 times the 360 divided by 347.2. which is going to equal 24.88 hours. So which then now equals to 24 hours and 52 minutes to be exact, just to complete its motion. That's why we call it lagging. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, so before governments, before space agencies, there were these empires that figured it all out. They did the math, the Romans, the Greeks, they saw the shadows, they just figured it out. They were the smart ones. But before these empires, there were kingdoms. These kingdoms, so for some reason, they didn't know the math. They had the same sun, rising, setting, the same moon. Oh, look, it looks spherical. Sphere. That just never came up in their mind. They weren't logical. They just built these crazy structures. You can't fit a piece of hair between the cracks of the stones, precisely cut stones, very heavy stones. We're still wondering how they got there. Wondering, we know, but it's just too much knowledge, too much truth in how they built those pyramids all over our flat plane. They believed in a flat world, but they didn't figure it out. They were ignorant people. They knew about the celestial events, the eclipses. On this day, there's gonna be an event. The moon will go in front of the sun. And it happened. And that's how they controlled the masses. There's nothing new under the sun here. Like, the space agencies today, they're not doing the same thing today. That is not what's going on. You could believe that if you want. But a really nice piece of history that everyone should be aware of, that there's only been 24 men that have gone far enough to see this with their own eyes. Only 50 years ago. 50 years ago. It's like that we're getting smarter, going up. But like, we're just gotta figure it out again. We had billions of dollars and effort to try it, to do it back then. But we're advancing and doing it pretty soon, I hope. I really want to take this video. I'm hoping that by 2030, since I don't think we're gonna make it to Mars by then, but I'm hoping we make it to the moon and build a space station right between the moon and the Earth. Guys, I was wrong. Since 2018. I was fooled by this cult. It's a spheroid. Can you see? It's wider at the equator. It's rotating 1 RPM per day, guys. So you can't really tell it's 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, but it's a spheroid. I'm really hoping, but I know I'm gonna die a flat earther. Your kids are not gonna be able to see this. Your grandkids, your great grandkids. But go ahead. If you guys need helping hands, man, I'm here for you guys. It's like I'm willing to serve you guys, to get you guys out of your delusion as fast as possible. But just let the show continue.
For those of you flat earthers out there using earth curve calculators to calculate your long distance photography, and a glober comes and says, oh, you need to account for refraction. Here's proof that the refraction slider on the Walter Bislin earth curve calculator is math magic. It's sorcery. I made an observation. 1 foot observer height, 24,900 miles, and the target height was 100,000 feet. This is an impossible observation. It's like if you were standing here looking that way and the target was behind you, right? And you had to look all the way around the entire globe to an object that's actually behind you like a mile. So here's the object behind you. You had to see all the way around the globe. So Globers grab their sorcery slider, is what I'm going to call it, the refraction slider. As long as it's at the very end, it's going to make any observation possible. Look, you'll pull it back a little bit, nothing. Then you slide it to the very end, max, and there it is. Doesn't matter how far away. This is the weirdest story I've ever seen. Did you know Lance Bass from NSYNC was supposed to go to space with the Russians? But then the Russians held him hostage or something? Lance Bass was kicked off a Russian space flight 2 decades ago. Now he's back. Look at this direct quote from Lance Bass. Apparently he'd been planning to go to space with the Russians and stay on the space station for 10 days or something like that. He teamed up with Hollywood and tried to raise $20 million so he could go stay on the space station for 10 days. All to just be kicked out of the base and held at point and all that stuff. He went to the lengths of getting surgery, heart surgery, because he had some problems with his heart and thought that going to space was going to mess with that. Apparently he always wanted to be an astronaut, and NSYNC called his name and he ended up being, Lance Bass. But I guess his passion is still in space exploration. He's trying to go. But when he finally did try to go, Russia pretty much took him out. Wasn't it a Russian cosmonaut who whistleblowed and basically said, yeah, all that space exploration stuff is fake? You should have known, Lance.
Yes, God does not like liars, and that's why it's a very great time to be alive. Very worrying to what's happening in the world, but great to see what's going to happen to the atheists, the ones that are spitting at Christians for believing in the God of the Bible and saying, look what Christians have done in the name of God. For we are now seeing what is happening to man, to society, to the world, for doing things in the name of science. Oh man, life is ironic. But thankfully for us God believers, salvation does not come through believing in flat earth like these ancient civilizations depict earth as. We had the same sun, same moon, same stars rotating above us, and they believed in a flat enclosed world. Now they're gonna go ahead and mock that these people were ignorant. They didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't have the science. They didn't know about the reaching into outer space. They didn't have the rockets, the flying capabilities. That's what they tell us. For I believe, that's just my belief, okay? I can't prove this, okay? That man once walked with God. And with time, we're falling into the great abyss of the deception. So we're not getting smarter as they tell us. We're getting more deceived. But that's just my belief. For salvation comes through believing in God, for what God did to save his ignorant children, his sinful children. He came as a man, gave up his godly privileges to serve and do God's will. Something that atheists cannot comprehend. God came as God, as a man, to serve himself. They just cannot understand the things of the Spirit. So we'll leave them alone. Hopefully they find truth. For all I truly want is for us to get a fair judgment by the supreme judge. He knows the deception we're living in. So flat earth is not a salvation issue. It's based on the fruit, on the life we bring into this world. But that's my belief, our belief in God. Or can you teach me, educate me in one time in history where the people in charge giving us the information about the celestial lights did it to care about his people and did not do it for control and obedience? Can you name me one time? But to be honest, I'm getting a little impatient. I was hoping by 2020, we would have been already in Mars. I was hoping. This was before I was a flat earther, but at least that was the plan. But it's always going to be delayed and delayed and delayed. So what if we all unite as one and push towards the science and start trying to get into outer space, start achieving and getting space stations? I really, really want to take a picture of Earth with the Himawari satellite right behind me and see the whole oblate sphere. Like I can't wait to be wrong. I know I'm not going to be wrong, but I can't wait. I really, really can't. I'll switch like that. I have no problem in having been wrong and falling for the flat earth. That's no shame for me. It's like if I was able to take the shame of believing and coming out of as a flat earther, I'll admit it. I'll be the dumb one and admit I was fooled. I really, really can't wait. I'm patiently waiting for us to get our things together and get out there, start traveling, go light speed. But till that day happens, which I really do believe I'm gonna die a flat earther, like how every flat earther that has gone out and test this out died a flat earther. Rob Skiba, Bob Nodell, and we'll see who's next. God bless. The flat earth map. LA, Russia. Let's look at our heading. And then we go from here. Here. Oh.
It came in the mail and y'all are opening it with me. Ooh. Smell it. Woo! Here we go.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.